Today we're going to be making some stuffed tomatoes, and such a great dish for summer when tomatoes are in abundance, and this is a great way to use them up. So we begin this recipe by preparing the tomatoes, and we've got some lovely tomatoes here, and what we do is we cut the tops off and we scoop out the pulp. So make sure you leave a good amount of room at the top because we don't want the tomatoes to break. And then with a spoon, we actually take the pulp out and pop it into a separate bowl. This can get a little bit messy, but that's okay. And then we pop the tomato in a lined baking tray. And we make sure we match the top with the tomatoes, so don't get them mixed up. And we just put that aside. And we'll just do a couple more tomatoes. Seeds and all. The big tomatoes are the best ones to use because we will stuff them with a lovely rice filling. So that's our tomatoes paired. Now we get the tomato pulp and we need to slice it up a little bit just so we can get it ready for the filling. The juicier the tomatoes, the better, because we're actually going to turn this into a lovely sauce. So we just put that aside now. And in the meantime, we're heating up a fry pan to prepare the actual filling. So in your fry pan, pop some olive oil, some chopped up red onion. Whoops. We're just going to fry that for a little while. It's always nice to season the onion with a little bit of salt. And when that's translucent but not burnt, we add a little bit of garlic to that as well to add a bit more flavour. I like to chop my garlic with my hand, but you can certainly use a garlic mincer. That's how my mum taught me when I was young. Now we just saute that for a little while, but let's not burn the garlic at this point. And then we add the tomatoes, which will add a lovely sauce. So we're actually kind of making a little bit of a sauce here. And just mush down the tomatoes a little bit. I would saute that for about 1 to 2 minutes. And then we add some arborio rice. The arborio rice is a lovely addition. It's Italian, of course, but it adds a nice texture. I certainly wouldn't be using sort of an Asian rice or a jasmine rice for this. And we just give that a nice mix. Let that saute for another 1 to 2 minutes till it starts to come together. And then we're going to add some water to that because we want to cook the rice till it's about 1/2 to 3/4 cooked, but not fully cooked. So we're going to put some water in there. And bring that together. Good now to season with a bit of salt and pepper. A little bit of salt. Oops. So I would cook that now for about 6 minutes, but we don't want it fully cooked at this point because they will bake in the oven. The filling will bake in the oven with the tomatoes. So we want to make sure that we allow a little bit more of the cooking process to happen then. So once the rice is almost cooked, we then add some of the aromatics to this dish. And basil is always a good option in summer to go with the tomatoes. And then because we've got a bit of a Sicilian theme going, we're going to add some pine nuts and also some raisins just for a little bit of extra sweetness. You don't need to add these bits if you don't want to, but they do add a lovely flavour. Give that a good mix. And now it's really coming together well. And if you've got lemons, just to add a bit of brightness to the dish, I would add a little bit of lemon rind to this as well. It's amazing how it adds a real lift to the dish at the end. And it smells amazing. At this stage, it's always nice to taste just for seasoning. I think that needs a little bit more pepper, but that tastes really good. Okay, so the filling is ready. So now we're going to stuff the tomatoes, and we just take one of the tomatoes, and we've got some filling here, and we pop the filling inside the tomato. Because we've almost cooked the rice, it's okay to fill the rice up to the top. And then you pop your lid on like so. And we'll just do one more. Now these tomatoes taste really nice the next day. Really lovely for picnics and also nice as a antipasto or appetizer. So they're quite versatile. And once the tomatoes are prepared, I like to drizzle some olive oil over the top, because we will be baking these now in a preheated 180-degree oven for about 40 to 45 minutes, but it really does depend on how big your tomatoes are. We don't want the tomatoes to collapse, so keep an eye on them, and we want them to be baked in, fully in their shape. So just rub the oil around the outside of the tomato. And I like to keep the little tips on them for presentation because they look gorgeous. So they're ready now to go into the oven, and we'll bake those. So these are our beautiful Sicilian stuffed tomatoes.